Hi everyone, Saturday, February 7th, beautiful day, fresh dusting of snow this morning. You can still see a few flakes still coming down. Thank you for clicking on the video. Special thanks to everybody who's clicked on my past, I think 3 or 4 videos. My views have gone way up, so I'm real happy with that for no other reason than it makes me happy. Again, I don't make any money off of YouTube, but I just like to see the views, makes me feel great. I'll try to keep this brief. Today I'm going to have segments about the Lithuanian national food, which is Cepelinai, and I'll have a segment about ATV maintenance. For those of you that clicked on the video just because of the reference to ATV maintenance, and that's all you care about, you can fast forward to, I'll put the minute marker at the bottom of the screen here, but that being said, why don't you just stick around and watch the whole thing, learn something about Cepelinai and my life and the cold streak. Speaking of which, right now it's about -5, which is by far the warmest day we've had in a long time. So out here enjoying it, don't even have a winter cap on. Talk to you soon. Hi everyone, Sunday, February 1st, and today is International Cepelinai Day. Cepelinais are the official national food of Lithuania, and the word Cepelinai is essentially a Lithuanian translation on the word Zeppelin. And Zeppelin is what they call this particular food because it resembles the German airships Zeppelins. And you can see my wife in the background working diligently to prepare the meal. Normally you get a group of people together and you just make these from scratch. It's kind of a laborious process. Obviously it's a potato-based food, but in this case it's just my wife and I, and it's kind of a lot of work to go through for 2 people. So we just bought Cepelinais already made at the store, which are pretty good, and we will see how it turns out. And you have to have some type of sauce. Everybody's got a preference. Some people just do sour cream. Some people do a bacon and onion mixture separate from sour cream. We actually prefer the bacon, the onion, and the sour cream all in one sauce. There's also some healthier versions that you can make, but if you're going to have Cepelinais, you might as well have the real sauce. And basically, as you can see, they're in the shape of a little Zeppelin. And it's a potato mixture on the outside. And on the inside, normally it's ground pork meat. But some people do dry curd cheese. Some people do vegetables. Some people do mushrooms. And in they go. And obviously they're boiled in just plain old water. I think there might be some salt in there, but I'm not sure how long you boil them, but this video isn't a cooking instructional video. I'll try to provide some links to give you access to the recipes. Hopefully it'll be in English. Dinner is served. As you can see in the middle, we've got a nice tasty pork sausage piece, and on the outside is the potato, and with the fatty sauce on top. I will point out that this is an acquired taste. Lithuanians grew up with this, but I did not. The first few times I ate this, I could barely swallow it. It was kind of not my favorite thing. There was one person in America that calls these alien eggs. But I've grown to love them, especially on a cold winter day. Bon appetit!
Svarsto pasidarytų cepelinų ir patys, bet su kompanija restorane smagiau. žinot, kaip vienas gyvenam, nu tai labai smagu.
Kol senjorai laukia, cepelinai gaminami, dedami į puodą. Išvirti iš karto atnešami išalkusiems. Porcijoje cepelinas su spirgučiais ir grietine. Jau paragavusių paklausime, gal.
Hi everyone. About minus 20. Filming on my iPhone. My other camera, the batteries don't really like to work when it's minus 20 in Celsius. So for my Lithuanian viewers, we've all been feeling this cold snap here. But believe it or not, this is nothing back where I grew up in northern Wisconsin. For my northern Wisconsin viewers, as you guys are painfully aware, you guys been regularly having minus 20, minus 30 in Fahrenheit. I'll put the Celsius conversion at the bottom of the screen, but I've grown a little soft in my old age. I don't know how I used to handle that stuff in northern Wisconsin. I do love winter and I do love cold, but this is a bit much. More to come. Hi everyone. Minus 23 this morning. It was actually minus 27 at my mother-in-law's, so coldest morning so far. Should be about the same tomorrow morning, but little by little it's wearing away at us. I have showed you this in the past, but my compressor for my boiler system just keeps building up ice underneath, and if that ice gets tall enough where it starts interfering with the compressor, it shuts down. We saw on the news this morning a lot of people having problems with that, so I was out here chipping away at it, which is a thankless job. There's no way I could have filmed it because I used some language that isn't fit for YouTube. Obviously I didn't get it all out of there, but I'm just trying to stay on top of it and keep enough of a gap. I'll have to probably come out here tomorrow and do the same. And to add insult to injury, my car gate is frozen in place. Will not budge. I've tried to loosen it up. I don't think it's a problem with the motor. I can hear the motor clicking on and off. It's just frozen in place. There's some metal wheels that guide it in there, and if you try to thaw it out like with a hair dryer, by the time you thaw out one area and move to another area, the old area is frozen right back up again. So for the time being, my car gate is just going to stay open. Hi everyone. If you've been watching my recent videos, we've been having quite a bit of winter weather and or snow around here lately, so I have been working my ATV pretty hard. I have a snowplow for the front, so I think it's time that I give it a little tender love and care and give it a quick oil change. The odd thing about my ATV, which is a CFMOTO C4 600, it says 625. I don't know why it says 625. It's a 600. But the odd thing about this model, I think it's a year 2021, it doesn't have a separate transmission oil reservoir. Basically, the engine and the transmission both use the same oil. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that, although it seems to be working just fine. I've had this machine for a number of years, never had a problem, but the point is there is no separate transmission oil. Obviously there's a front and rear differential oil, which I did recently change. That's in a previous video. So today I'm going to focus on just changing the engine oil, which again also acts as the transmission oil. I'll do the filter as well. And as with any of these videos that I do when I'm working on things, basically it's not meant to be a step-by-step instructional video. You can find much better videos on YouTube, much more professional, better lighting, than what I'm going to show here, but mainly just to show you guys that it can be done. You don't have to take it to the shop. Basic tools. As far as my working conditions, my garage is not heated, nor is it insulated very well. So today is actually a surprisingly warm day compared to what we've had. It's, I think, -5 or -6 right now. So in the garage, it's just above freezing. Obviously, we've got some food products that can't freeze. I do have a tiny little heater over there by my filter system just to make sure that that doesn't freeze. But generally speaking, it's pretty cold here in the garage, but much better than doing it outside. More to come. And to complete the job, obviously you're going to need some oil and a filter. But what I've done is I've bought the all-in-one service pack, which you don't need to do. But the nice thing about the all-in-one service pack is it comes with these, I think they're called crush washers, and a new O-ring. That'll come up later, but with these crush washers, I think they're made from brass or something more soft than steel. So it's always a good idea to replace them on your drain plug, but if you don't have a new one, which I didn't last time I did this, it's much better just to try to clean the old one and reuse it than to replace it with, for example, a steel washer. The steel washer will not crush, it won't do the right job, so if at all possible, replace the O-ring on the oil filter cover and the crush washers. It also comes with brake cleaner, which I'm not sure why it comes with that, but brake cleaner is good to have around for cleaning things very well. And the all-in-one kit also comes with transmission, or in this case, differential oil. Again, I just did that recently, so I'm not going to change the differential oil on this one. They gave me 10W40 semi-synthetic. I'm not really sure why it's not 5W40 for the winter time, but the folks at the shop, supposedly they know what they're doing, so that's what I'll use. You'll need about 3 liters of this to refill everything. You're going to need a light source, or a couple of them. I prefer these little headlamps you wear on your head. Obviously a drip pan, or a way to collect the oil that you drain out, a funnel for replacing the new oil. You're going to need a 17 millimeter socket, a 10 millimeter socket, and an 8 millimeter socket. An empty plastic bottle, I'll explain that later. Definitely some rags and some cat litter or floor dry. No matter how careful you are, you're going to get oil somewhere, likely on the floor, and a couple of beverages of your choice to celebrate when you're all done. And the first tricky little bit, at least on CFMOTOs, is the little plastic cover that you've got to take off, and you've got to be careful with this. You want to pop it out on this side, but don't pop it out on this side because you'll break those little attachments or those little grommets. So once you've got that pulled out, you slide it back and you can see it'll pop out of here. If you try to do it any other way, you can bust these off. And it's not required that you take this additional cover off, because you can get to the oil filter cover without any problem, and the fill hole. But I like to remove this whole piece. It just makes it easier to get in there and work. It's only 3 bolts. They're 10 millimeter. So you just pop those out, and it'll make sense later why that helps. And before you crawl under and drain the oil, it's kind of helpful to remove the dipstick here. It helps for venting, and the oil will run out a lot quicker. So you just come in here and remove the dipstick, and then you got to crawl underneath. And this is probably the worst part of the job. Not that it's that bad, but crawling underneath. I don't have a lift. Some people are lucky enough to have a forklift to get it up off the ground, but it's just a matter of getting underneath there and removing the 17 millimeter drain plug. As mentioned earlier, my machine, it's all in one, engine oil and transmission oil. On a lot of other machines, including CFMOTOs, there's a separate drain plug for the transmission. Point is, don't get them confused. You don't want to remove the transmission oil when you're trying to remove the engine oil, or vice versa. So that popped loose without much fuss. And make sure you got your drain pan ready to go. And remove the drain plug. And this is where it's going to get a little messy. There we go. Oil doesn't look that bad even, but it is what it is, and it's always good to change it. And then you can see that crush washer, which I will replace. And once the oil is done draining and you replaced your crush washer, you can replace your drain plug. Before you do that, you should always wipe the drain plug hole as good as you can to make sure that there's no sand or grit or anything going to get in between the drain plug crush washer and the drain. And technically, there is a torque setting for that drain plug. I think it's 23 foot-pounds. I do have a torque wrench, but I'm not going to use it. I generally know how tight it should be. You don't want to over-tighten, but you know how tight it was when you removed it. And I will, of course, monitor the floor for the first few days to make sure that I don't have any leaks or drips. And now comes the interesting part. Remember at the beginning I told you an empty plastic bottle, and it is optional, but this is the oil filter cover. On these CFMOTOs, it's not a fully built-in oil filter in the such that you just screw it on like on an automobile. It's a cardboard or paper fiber filter that goes inside here. The point is, this thing, when you try to pop this off, it is going to leak oil, and it's going to leak oil everywhere. It's a pain, so I kind of custom make an old bottle to kind of fit in there and catch that oil that's going to run out of there when I take these 3 8mm bolts out. So there you can see what a mess that would have made. And of course the oil would have run where it's impossible to clean it with a rag, down in the frame, in your floorboards, etc. So there I've got it. And if I'm not mistaken, I haven't made a mess at all. I think I caught all the oil, which is the first time that's ever happened. And then as said, or as mentioned, the filter is just this, yeah, try not to make too much of a mess, is just this, I don't want to say paper, but essentially it is paper. I'm not a big fan of these, although I will say that a lot of vehicles actually use this type of oil filter, like the big Toyota Tundra trucks use this type of oil filter where it's not like an external unit, it goes inside the engine, so can't be half bad. And when putting the new filter in, obviously you want to make sure you put the rubber gasket side in, not out. You can see the outside doesn't have that rubber gasket, and I like to take a little bit of fresh oil and just lube up that rubber piece to make sure that it gets a proper seal. But it's just a matter of pressing it in. And as mentioned, this oil filter cover has a little oil or O-ring on it. And it's best to replace that if you can each time you do it. But you know, honestly, I've skipped it before. As long as it looks good, it's not flattened out. But I do have a new one, so I will replace it after I clean this up with some brake cleaner, make sure it's good and clean. And once you've got your new O-ring on your oil filter cover, you can go ahead and tighten down your 3 bolts. I have seen on other videos, you have to be very careful with these. Do not over tighten. You know, they just need to be snug. I'm sure there is a torque setting. I don't know what that torque setting is, but I have heard some horror stories where you can actually kind of do some damage if you over tighten. And once you've got your oil filter cover back on and snugged up, it's time to add the oil. As I said before, it's going to take about 3 liters, a little less. Take your time pouring it in. There's no rush. And once you get about, you know, let's say 2.5 liters in there, start checking it with the dipstick. And once you've got the oil all filled up, and again, check it on the dipstick. I actually put a little over the fill line to make up for the empty oil filter chamber. That will use up some of the oil. I ended up using about 2.7 liters, which doesn't sound quite right, but point is I will continue to check it, especially over the next few days. I'll check the floor for drips. I'll check the oil level after each time I ride it for 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything looks good. But that's it. Not too bad. I didn't even make a big mess. Of course, you still need to replace your plastic and your cover, which I don't need to show here. You guys will figure that out. But not a hard job at all. Something that doesn't take much time. It's not all that expensive, and it really, I think, helps to keep your machine going. And as far as cleaning up, make sure you don't have any oil spots on the floor. If you do, clean them up with the floor dry that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. You definitely don't want to track that into the house. You'll be in trouble with the wife. As far as the used oil, take it out and just spread it on your gravel road. It'll help to keep the dust down in the summertime. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Do not dump this out in the environment. There are shops in the city where they will buy, or not buy, you have to pay them, but you can get rid of your used oil properly at numerous facilities. It's not all that expensive, and it's the right thing to do. So thanks for coming on the journey with me. More to come soon. Hi guys, sorry, just a quick correction to my previous statement that it was going to take 2.7 liters of oil, which I said didn't sound right. After I started it up, let it run for a minute or two, shut it back off to check for leaks and recheck the dipstick. I found that it needed yet more. So this is the remainder from the third container. You can see it used about the 2.8 liters that I predicted at the beginning, which should be just right.